This is NBC 15 News.
New tonight at 10, now that Christmas is over, you're probably thinking about what to do with your live Christmas tree. There are some unique ways to dispose of your tree this year that help the environment and even local animals. Fairhope farmer Teddy Vigil is turning the community's holiday trash into treats for her animals, taking in live Christmas trees and leftover pumpkins.
I've been doing this for the last few years, and I found out that this was good for the animals and decided that's a really great way I can help people collect what's their trash and feed it to my animals.
The pumpkins are especially good for the animals because the seeds are natural dewormers.
Oh, all the animals love to eat them, the pigs, the chickens, cows, goats, and they're my little composters.
You can also take your Christmas trees to the beach. Gulf State Park District Naturalist Kelly Reitz says each year they take 300 to 500 live Christmas trees that are free of chemicals and decorations and place them in the sand along certain areas of the park to assist with dune restoration.
The winter and spring winds blow the sand in, and the trees collect the sand and become a base that holds the sand in place. And then in the early spring, we'll go back and plant sea oats and panic grass, native plants for the beach around those Christmas trees. And the roots of the grass help to hold the trees in place. And then the trees help to build dunes that become barriers.
Those barriers are essential to the Gulf Coast and are the first line of defense against hurricanes and major storms.
They help to protect the land, the park. Dunes all along our Alabama coast help to protect people's homes and businesses, but they're also the home for a lot of different wildlife, like the Alabama beach mouse and nesting shorebirds.
Again, please make sure you take all of your decorations off the tree and do not donate any trees treated with chemicals. You can reach out to the farmer directly if you'd like to drop off in Fairhope, or if you'd like to drop off at the beach, you can place used trees near the Gulf State Park Beach Pavilion next to the dumpsters. You can find those details at mynbc15.com after the show. In the city of Mobile, you can drop off your live Christmas trees between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. through January 16th at these locations on your screen: Lake Drive Tricentennial Park, James Seals Park, Medal of Honor Park, Langen Park, and several more. For the full list, you can also find that on our website. Christmas may be over, but that doesn't mean the holiday festivities in Fairhope are fading out just yet. This Friday marks the annual New Year's Eve celebration. Lots of Fairhope residents are looking forward to this event. Last year, the festivities there were canceled due to the pandemic. This Friday, Fairhope Avenue between Section Street and Summit Street will close for preparations. Alabama's oyster industry had its best wild harvest in years, more than doubling the catch from 2020 after opening new territory in Mobile Bay. The total haul by the end of the day this past Tuesday was around 45,000 sacks of oysters compared to 22,000 last year. The season opened October 4th and ending date has not been set yet. A statewide battle between gun rights advocates and law enforcement over legislation that could get rid of permit requirements to carry concealed handguns. It surfaced before the Mobile County Commission last Monday. The debate pitted Mobile County Sheriff Sam Cochran against a former captain within his agency who he fired because the two had opposing views over the issue. The next legislative session will be in Montgomery next year. A proposed 1% sales tax for a new emergency room and renovations at Jackson Medical Center is getting overwhelming support. Jackson Mayor Paul South opened a public hearing last Tuesday seeking input from citizens. He says a hospital in a rural town is very much needed. A second hearing for the proposed ER will be held December 28th. Turning now to the pandemic, a surge of new COVID cases fueled by the Omicron variant continues to sweep the nation. Healthcare resources in some parts of the country are already stretched thin. Cole Higgins reports.
As Americans celebrated yet another holiday during the pandemic,
they've got their mask and everybody has their own sanitizer in their backpack.
A surge of new COVID cases nationwide fueled by the Omicron variant, leaving healthcare workers in some parts of the country stretched thin and with little to celebrate.
Hospitals in the Twin Cities are overwhelmed and unable to take new patients because we're bursting at our seams already.
At least 12 states seen an uptick in COVID hospitalizations over the past week, with more than 71,000 Americans currently hospitalized with COVID-19. The surge causing major disruptions for airline travelers this Christmas weekend.
As soon as we got here, we found out our flight was canceled to Maui.
More than 900 U.S. flights canceled just Sunday alone. Globally, airlines canceling more than 6,000 flights since Friday.
The reason that our flight was canceled was because of lack of flight attendants. It's sad. It's just really sad.
But some health officials predicting 2022 could be the year we get a handle on COVID-19.
I think it is definitely the year we get this under control. We will get to a point where we'll see new waves of infection. It will not have a big effect on hospitals. People will go on. People will not get really sick and die. And we will learn to live with this virus, and it will stop being so disruptive to our lives.
A hope likely shared by all this Christmas weekend. I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
In just a couple of days, a new pop-up COVID-19 vaccine site will be available in Mobile County. This Tuesday, the holiday vaccine pop-up will be running at the Franklin Medical Mall on MLK Avenue. Shots will be available for everyone ages 5 and up. All 3 vaccines and booster shots will be on hand, and walk-ins are welcome. If you're receiving a second shot or booster, bring your vaccination card with you and your photo ID. U.S. Airlines canceled more than 1,200 flights Sunday, marking the 3rd day in a row of holiday travel chaos. The major airlines blame the cancellations on staff and crew being out sick because of the continued surge of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. In addition to canceled flights, at least another 5,000 were delayed, according to the tracking site FlightAware. Globally, 6,000 flights were scratched on Christmas Eve, Christmas, and the day after. For the latest updates on the pandemic, head over to our website, mynbc15.com. We have an entire section dedicated to the coronavirus. Taking a look now at your forecast for the week ahead. With all this sticky air in place, patchy fog is possible overnight once the winds calm down. Daytime highs will remain about 15 degrees above what is typical for this time of the year and will stay in this pattern through New Year's Day. Dry conditions last through Monday. Stray showers return on Tuesday. By midweek, we'll move into a mostly cloudy pattern along with showers and thunderstorms. Close to half of the viewing area will see some precipitation each day, extending into your New Year's holiday. Highs will hold in the mid to upper 70s with wake-up temperatures in the low to mid 60s. Police in Oak Brook, Illinois are searching for a suspected shooter that opened fire at the Oak Brook Mall, leaving 4 people injured. Despite the shooting, shoppers still flooded the mall on Christmas Eve. Aware that many of the employees ran for their lives, some customers offered a little kindness.
I just asked her, I said, "Did you happen to be working last night?" She says, "Yes." And she pointed at the door right next to us at the Chanel counter and said, "That's where the guy came in." And I said, "Where did you go?" And I said, "You didn't stay here." And she said she just hid to the back, went to the back. She was pretty well together for what she went through.
Investigators say they're looking for a man seen on surveillance video in a bright blue coat with a yellow patch. A grim milestone for the family of JonBenet Ramsey. Police are actively using new technology to enhance their investigation to solve this case. December 26th marks 25 years since the 6-year-old was murdered. The little girl found dead by her father in the basement of their Colorado home the day after Christmas in 1996. A coroner said she died from asphyxiation due to strangulation and ruled her death a homicide. Authorities arrested an armed intruder at Windsor Castle as Queen Elizabeth was celebrating Christmas. The 19-year-old suspect was armed with what police describe as an offensive weapon. While the suspect was able to get on the grounds of the castle, he couldn't enter any buildings. Investigators say the royal family was informed of the incident. The Queen was staying outside London at Windsor Castle this Christmas since the Omicron variant is surging in the UK. A miraculous story out of Ohio today. Doctors were able to successfully remove a tumor off of an unborn baby's heart. It's only the second time in medical history the fetal surgery has been done. The rare condition only affects 1 of every 40,000 births. After weighing the options, the baby's mother, Samantha, decided surgery was the way to go.
Some of the nurses that were in my room, they told me that they cried, and they still cry and get tears over it just because, like, it was the craziest thing they've ever experienced, too.
Now born baby Ryland is healthy, but Samantha said they still go back for blood work and to make sure his heart is working correctly. Today marks the first day of the week-long celebration of Kwanzaa. Following Christmas, the non-religious observation of African Americans' ancestral roots celebrates 7 core principles. Some core principles include creativity, responsibility, self-determination, and faith. The celebration of Kwanzaa ends on the first day of the new year, 2022. Coming up, a heartbreaking story of one family in Ohio that lost not just everything in a house fire over the holiday weekend, but one of their own as well. Also, we'll take an inside look with Cheryl Atkinson to see what's coming up this week on Full Measure. An accidental shooting on Christmas Day has left a 3-year-old North Carolina child hospitalized. Henderson County deputies say the toddler gained access to a gun and accidentally pulled the trigger. The child was airlifted to Mission Hospital in Asheville and is still undergoing treatment. The Henderson County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit is investigating. At least a community in Toledo, Ohio is mourning this holiday weekend after an 11-year-old boy lost his life in a house fire early Christmas Eve morning. Toledo Fire and Rescue say multiple people found themselves trapped in the early morning hours as the house was engulfed in flames. Willie Danley has the details.
As you can see behind me, the house where this fatal fire took place around 4:30 this morning has been demolished. I spoke to members of the community today, and they are saddened that this family lost everything, including a child, on Christmas Eve.
Only thing we heard was screaming. My sister woke up and said, "Get out the house, get out the house, it's a fire."
John Kaminsky is the interim fire chief for Toledo Fire and Rescue. He says crews found the boy about half an hour after they arrived on the scene.
As you can see, they found heavy fire throughout first and second floor. They got a report of people trapped. Up to 4 people were trapped is what they reported on the way. Due to the course of the fire search efforts, unfortunately, we did find 1 victim upstairs in a bedroom.
The boy's name has not been released. He was 11 years old. DuBois Simmons lives right next door to the house. He says he was woken from his sleep by the family's screams.
His brother stood there and said, my brother, he couldn't get to him because the fire already flamed. Here's a happy child running up and down the block. Some of the time, if I got candy or money, I give all the kids something. But that's a sad feeling.
A Toledo Fire and Rescue spokesperson says 5 other family members escaped before firefighters arrived. 3 went to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. As of now, the fire is still under investigation and the cause has yet to be determined. Reporting, Willie Danley, 13 ABC Action News.
NBC 15 continues to team up with Sinclair Broadcast Group and the American Red Cross to help provide much-needed relief for those affected by this month's deadly tornado outbreak. It's our campaign to help those victims. Financial donations are still coming in, and our company Sinclair has already matched the first $25,000 raised. Thanks to you, we've raised close to $200,000 so far. Red Cross is also facing its worst blood shortage in more than a decade. You can help by visiting mynbc15.com/cares. You can also make an appointment to donate blood or make a financial donation. The botched U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan may be creating a new alliance between Islamic extremist terrorists, the Taliban, and those in Iran and Pakistan. That's the subject of this week's cover story on Full Measure. Cheryl Atkinson has more on Full Measure's report from Israel and the other stories featured in this week's episode.
Here's a look at the stories we have coming up this week on Full Measure. You've probably heard a little bit less on the news about the botched U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Well, still, it may have far-reaching implications. That includes undermining the strategic position of the United States in the Middle East, as well as that of our longstanding ally Israel. Sunday on Full Measure, we're going to report from Israel on all the concerns that come with this new geopolitical shift. Billions of your tax dollars have been spent to help Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, after a long string of natural and man-made disasters there. But now there's concern that after all the money we spent specifically for Puerto Rico's power grid, that it's now on the verge of a total collapse. We'll follow the money. And the U.S. southern border is in crisis still, with a record number of illegal immigrants crossing, a good percentage of them having COVID. We'll tell you why the U.S. Coast Guard has been called in for an unusual assignment there. All this week on Full Measure.
And you can see Full Measure right here on NBC 15 Sunday mornings at 10. Taking another look at the weather, today we saw mild and muggy conditions all along the Gulf Coast. Today's highs reached the upper 70s, and hopefully none of you got sprinkled on. With all this sticky air in place, patchy fog is possible overnight once the winds calm down. Daytime highs will remain about 15 degrees above what is typical for this time of the year and will stay in this pattern through New Year's Day. Dry conditions last through Monday. Stray showers return on Tuesday. By midweek, we'll move into a mostly cloudy pattern along with showers and thunderstorms. Close to half of the viewing area will see some precipitation each day, extending into your New Year's holiday. Highs will hold in the mid to upper 70s with wake-up temperatures in the low to mid 60s. Be sure to stay weather aware this week by downloading our NBC 15 weather app. You can track storms on the go, as well as receive alerts when there's disruptive weather headed your way. Just search WPMI WX in the App Store or Google Play. New statistics are being released after the latest surge in the COVID-19 pandemic. Many are frustrated. Right now, there seems to be no end in sight. Atra Al-Nashar takes a look at the national strategy to manage the Omicron surge.
The effects of Omicron on full display in the nation's airports, airlines canceling hundreds of flights, and in testing lines, often stretching for hours.
It's insane. We've been in this line for, I think, coming up on 3 hours now.
In January, the Biden administration says 500 million more at-home rapid COVID tests will be available for free, delivered to homes. But details of the rollout are unclear, and with a current 7-day average of more than 176,000 new daily cases, there's worry it's coming too late.
We've seen, with the tremendous spread of Omicron, a big surge in demand for testing, and we've got to keep up.
The latest CDC data show a 7-day average of more than 1,200 Americans dying of COVID every day.
We're particularly worried about those who are in that unvaccinated class.
According to the CDC, about 15% of Americans 18 and older have not received their first dose. The White House repeating calls it's made for months.
Everyone has the ability to make a choice to save their lives and to prevent hospitalization if they get vaccinated and if they get the booster.
The White House bracing for Supreme Court decisions next month that will decide the fate of vaccine mandates for large employers and healthcare workers that have been widely criticized by Republicans.
These are decisions that really should be made at the state, local, and then personal level.
There are also questions about what it means to be fully vaccinated and if the U.S. will follow in Israel's footsteps and roll out a second booster for seniors and healthcare workers.
We don't know yet because we have to look at our data to see whether or not people's protection continues to hold in the months ahead.
Overall, Americans have a declining view of what's being done. A 538 average of polls shows only 47.9% approve of how President Biden's responded to the pandemic, compared to a 69% approval when he took office.
We don't have test kits in place. We're not prepared for this new surge. Here we are again.
President Biden trying to assure the country this is not a repeat of 2020 since vaccines are widely available. But COVID's toll on everyday life, positive tests, quarantines, virtual learning, for many feels all too familiar. In Washington, I'm Atra Al-Nashar reporting.
Today, more and more people are lining up to receive a COVID-19 test as cases begin to rise. This continues a trend of testing sites around the country dealing with sometimes mile-long lines of people wanting to receive a test before traveling to see family for Christmas and New Year's. Other cities like Miami, Houston, Orlando, and even right here in Mobile are overwhelmed with long lines and very few appointments left. Coming up, one organization in New York celebrated its anniversary yesterday by giving back in a big way. New York City's Meals on Wheels celebrated its 40th anniversary on Christmas Day. The milestone was celebrated by delivering 20,000 festive holiday meals to elderly New Yorkers in need. 300 volunteers dedicated their holiday to helping deliver the Christmas dinners on Saturday. The nonprofit has delivered 65 million meals since its founding 40 years ago. Thanks for watching tonight. Don't forget, the very latest is on our website, mynbc15.com. Good night, everybody.